What is up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of SacTown Movie Buffs. Once again, I'm Kierre, and this is Jason. And today we're doing something a little bit special. Jason's trying to get something going over there, but we're doing something a little different. Instead of doing an actual movie review, we're actually going to do our Oscar show. So we're doing our 2021 Oscar preview show, and basically kind of just our pick for the major categories. We're not going to do all the categories, so if your favorite category is best sound editing, we're not doing that category, unfortunately, for you today. If you're really looking for that, that's just not what we're doing today. We're gonna keep it simple with just the main categories, and that's gonna be best supporting actress, best supporting actor, best actress, best actor, and best picture.
Yeah.
Those are the ones.
And I mean, best director is definitely a major category, but we talked about the fact that it's kind of hard to separate director and picture. And also I know that it's almost never does a director, or maybe even never does a director who is. I don't think there's ever been a director who's won best director whose film was not nominated at the same time. So. You know what I mean? They are linked in a lot of ways. So I think that's why we.
Yeah, I mean, it's really, really hard to do. The only situation where I could see where it would make sense to have a best picture, but not necessarily the best director, I feel like would be like a documentary or something of that nature. Just because that's more about the actual people or the story. I feel like, you know what I mean, that I really would love. Like, whatever your favorite documentary is, you know what I mean? Like sometimes I don't even know who the director of that documentary was, but I really, really love that documentary, unless there's somebody that's like a prolific director and they're always doing documentaries. I don't always know who the director is. You know what I mean? Like Murder on a Sunday Morning. I really love that film. That's one of my favorite documentaries. I'd have to look again to remember exactly who the director of that one was. That'd be like the only really, I guess, cases where I could really see that being a case, but I would say 9 times out of 10 or 9.9 times out of 10. If I felt it was the best film, I probably would also give the nod to the best director. You know what I mean? It's just kind of a weird category, I feel like, to say this was the best picture, but I don't think that was the best director. You know what I mean? It's kind of, or vice versa. You know what I mean? He was the best director, but not the best picture, in my opinion. Just not. I really liked his directing, but picture was garbage. You know what I mean? It's just kind of a weird thing to talk about. I feel like. So I don't know. It's kind of weird. So I kind of lumped those together, and then obviously the only one that I could see screenplay being a little different. We didn't include that for this one because that's another one that I don't get too much into. So I think we're just going to keep it with just the main.
I really do get into the screenplay nominations, adapted and the original. But I didn't suggest doing those tonight because I already think it's going to run long, probably with just the 5. So
you're probably
I figured,
right.
if we zip through them, maybe we can double back and hit the screenplay. But I love the screenplay category for sure. Yeah, personally.
Is it garbage day over there, man? What's going on?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, there's a truck outside.
I'm just
sorry.
but let truck get out of here, man. We're doing things.
All right, hang on.
But no,
let me get my bat.
And I'm going to be honest. You're more of an Oscar guy than I am. I've over the years, I used to really love watching the Oscars. I watch them less and less as the years have gone by, just because I'm not a big award show person, because they're so subjective, you know what I mean? And I know we've had this conversation before, how I think you equated it to like the Super Bowl, but for films. And
it kind of is.
I always disagree with that statement because the Super Bowl is still a game. You know what I mean? Like, I love films and I love watching movies. I don't necessarily want to watch the award show about the movies always necessarily. So because they're so subjective, and then they have their favorites. I feel like based on given years, like, and unfortunately, if there's a year where they say there weren't enough minorities represented this year, next year you can almost guarantee that there's going to be some minority directed films or some minority actors, whether they deserve them or not. And I get it, you know what I mean? But it's like one of those things where I feel like they can be pushed one way or another based on what people are complaining about or what people are saying. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, no, I don't get hung up too much on like, yes, I enjoy watching the Oscars. I enjoy watching the Golden Globes too, and the Independent Spirit Awards. I just get into it. Like, it's like a 3 hour block of time where, I get, takeout. My partner and I, we get takeout and just watch it and have a good time. And I don't really get hung up on, I don't place bets on anything. I don't get hung up on what's, if my favorite movie of the year didn't get nominated, or what was left out, or what was left in. I just enjoy watching it because I enjoy seeing the people. I enjoy, like, the little montages they do. It's just a 3 hour period of time to watch, a show about the movies to me, and, even if the nominations are not the ones that I would choose, I still usually like them. Like, it may not be, my top 5 movies. Well, this is going back to when the nominees for Best Picture were always 5. Now it's like it's 9 again, I think, this year.
Yeah,
but
it's just random. Yeah,
they're usually mostly movies I like. I don't mind, watching, clips about them, and, I don't know. It's just something I enjoy. It's silly. Art is subjective. They're, but it's fun.
Yeah, and then I always have issues with, it's like they're always like, oh, you got to pay your dues and that kind of stuff. So a lot of times, like, or they get overlooked for whatever reasons. The biggest example is, like, obviously all the great films that Scorsese has churned out over the years, and then he doesn't finally get a Best Director win until he does, like, The Departed, which I like. Don't get me wrong, I enjoy that film. But I think most of us would argue that was not his best film. You know what I mean? So
I know.
You know what I mean?
There are silly things about it. There are silly things about it.
But that I have with it, and it just kind of turns me off from always watching it. I mean, I always check to see what's going on, and I may, if it's on that night, I may skim through it, but I'm not sitting there watching the full 3 hour show. And they're long, they're over bloated, they're 3 hours and something long. So I'm not always necessarily watching the entire show either. I'm just, all I really care about is the major categories, really. Like I said, I don't care so much about who won Best Sound Editing or who won Best Independent, or not Independent, but Best, like, Short Film, and some of the other ones that they have where I don't even know what most of the films are. I didn't even see those films. You know what I mean? So,
yeah.
And this year,
I'm in for it all.
Yeah, I don't know.
And then this year, I just sit down on the couch, I get my food, and all the stuff, whether it's good or bad or funny or not funny. It's just one night a year that I just enjoy the tackiness, So yeah.
And then this year, I think we both had this conversation about. I didn't even see all of the films that were nominated for Best Picture this year. I just, for 2020, I guess basically you would say, not necessarily 2021, but 2020, I haven't seen all of the films, and I don't plan on seeing all the films because some of them just didn't, for whatever reason, didn't look like they were going to be my speed. And that's always the case for me with Oscars every year. I know certain films that I'm more than likely going to love or not going to really have a chance of loving. Like, I've heard some people like Mank, but it didn't look like it was my kind of film. The Father didn't look like it was really going to be my kind of film. So I didn't even bother to catch those films. So.
Yeah. I haven't seen them all this time either. Like I was gonna mention before we get into the thick of it, but, like, we just had the idea to do this show a few days ago. I think maybe next year, we might make a little more of a concerted effort to watch more nominees, maybe. But there's definitely movies that I would have seen, but inherently I'm not, like Minari. Like, I really want to see that movie, but right now you can still only get it for like $20. And It's just going to be me watching it by myself. I'm really hesitant to pay $20 to watch a movie by myself. And at home, even, I would have obviously gone and see that at the theater, but again, I would have gone by myself.
I don't equate the two. It's the experience at the theater. It's paying $20 at home versus paying $20 at the theater, where I get the ambience. I'm on the giant screen. I have the popcorn and all that kind of stuff. It's just it's the experience for me. You know what I mean? So
yeah. I mean, I have done it a couple of times.
same. Yeah, we both
but
did. We did it for like Bill and Ted's.
yeah, but that was a purchase. I would have done it anyway, but it was an extra. It was cool that was a purchase. I was going to have it forever at that point. But
this is a rental. I had to rent it for $20.
Yeah. Oh, maybe that was like a pre-order deal or something.
I had to rent it for $20. I didn't purchase it. Yeah. That was just same with Love and Monsters. That was $20 as well. I think we did that one also. Yeah.
I think the benefit for those is that if you're watching it with a group of people, like if I was watching it even with two people, $20 would be a deal because in theaters tickets would be at least $12 or something. But for something like Minari, I know I'm going to be watching it by myself, so I'm not going to pay $20 for it, so unfortunately I won't have seen that yet. It's just kind of a different kind of year, and the same with The Father. I don't know if that's $20 right now, but I'm definitely not paying $20 for The Father, even though if I end up loving it, but I'm not really dying to see it either, so it's usually I have seen all the nominees, but this year is different, for a lot of reasons.
For sure. Before we get right into it, just had a quick question for you. Just because I watched Bill Maher over the weekends. He's obviously a political commentator, but he also talks about other media issues as well. And he actually talked about the Oscars specifically. And he was complaining about them. He did a whole little, like the last part of his monologue was, or end of his show was basically about the Oscars. And he said that this year was the most drab year for Oscars because almost every single film was depressing. And that, he said the Oscars used to be more about fun. He goes, none of the films were really fun. They were all about Black Panther Party people getting killed in 2 films, or they were just films that weren't really like uplifting so much. He was like films about, a lady living out of her van. He said they were all like downers for the most part this year. And then this year they went away from the fun. I don't know. Do you agree with that assessment or?
Not really. I mean, I like Bill Maher. I'm a fan of his, but I got to disagree with them there because, the Oscars have always been. I mean, that's been a complaint that's gone back a long ways. They always have tended toward like the serious, like the big, bold epics. That are not entertainment value for the most. Not always. I mean, yeah, every once in a while there's a movie like Gladiator or The Silence of the Lambs. It's like a big popular hit. But I mean, that's a criticism that's gone way back.
Yeah, I think if it was only 5, I think I could see that. But if you're going to expand it to like 9, 10 films, I guess the argument would be like you couldn't have thrown in one, I don't know, not necessarily have to be a popcorn film, but just one film that was more on the, the entertainment value side, I guess. So
yeah,
whereas I look at the list, I don't really see any of them. I would say The Trial of Chicago 7, maybe it was closely related to more entertainment because it was kind of a comedy as well. But but most of these are really, really serious, heavier films, you know what I mean? So
yeah, I guess I didn't really notice. But then again, I haven't seen them all this time either. So
true. But from what we know about them, they're not straight comedies or straight, you know what I mean? Fun entertainment value type films.
No, but they never are. They never are. So
yeah.
I don't mind really. Like, one of the things with Oscars and award shows in general, I don't ever, maybe it's just the way my brain works, but I don't ever get worked up about what's not there. I focus on what is there, because every time I see the list of nominees and I go like, oh, yeah, those are good. And then, but, of course, all my friends are immediately like, oh, they left out this. Oh, they left out that. Where's this? Where's that? Where's this person? Where's that person? And I'm always like, oh, yeah, that's true. They were really good, too. But like, I just don't think about it that way. Like, I saw the list of nominees and I didn't think like all serious or, whatever. I just like, I don't know. I never focus on what's not nominated. I just focus on what is,
Okay. Fair enough.
So,
yeah, I mean, that is fair enough. Cool.
Yeah.
Well, with that said, let's get into it. So
let's get in. I mean, we've already been into it, but let's get into it.
Yeah, let's really get into it now, man. So we'll go ahead and start. I
got my iPad in front of me with the nominees.
Yeah, for sure. So I'm going to have you go ahead and actually kick this one off. We're going to start with our Best Supporting Actress. All right, so I'm going to have you take it away. Best Supporting Actress.
Okay, Best Supporting Actress or Actress in a Supporting Role.
Yes,
The
however you want to.
nominees, yeah, the nominees are Maria Bakalova for Borat, subsequent movie film, delivery of prodigious bribe to American regime for make benefit once glorious nation of Kazakhstan. That's the only time I'll do that, though. Glenn Close for Hillbilly Elegy, Olivia Colman for The Father, Amanda Seyfried for Mank, and Yu Yoon for Minari. Unfortunately, I have only seen two of these movies. And I think you have only seen one of these movies.
This
So,
is correct.
yeah, I've seen Borat and Mank. And of those two, my preference would definitely be Maria Bakalova for Borat. I think she was really great. She kind of came out of nowhere, and to me, she's the thing that I'll remember most about that movie because I like Sacha Baron Cohen. I like the first Borat movie. I like this Borat movie, but to me, she was kind of the heart of the film and the character whose fate you were the most invested in. I would say Amanda Seyfried's really good at Mank. I liked Mank a lot more than it seems like a lot of other people did, and she's really good in it. But she didn't leave as much of an impression on me as Maria Bakalova did. And of the other three, well, I can't really say anything for the other three because I haven't seen them. But but of these two, again, this is kind of a strange year. Normally, I would have seen, I think, at least 3 or 4 of these. But of those two, I would definitely vote for Maria Bakalova. How about you, Kierre?
Well, it's pretty
Which
simple
which
and easy
one
for
of
me.
which one of the one have you've seen would you vote for?
It's pretty simple for me. Yeah, definitely. I've only seen Borat, and I'm not going through that whole long title. So it's going to be the same. It'll be the Maria Bakalova. So, but I thought she was great in there, actually. So it's by default. And to be honest with you, if you were to ask me who my best supporting actress was in general for last year, I don't know that off the top of my head, I would be able to immediately come up with somebody. I mean, because I guess the question would come down to whether you would consider Viola Davis a supporting actress or a lead actress, I guess. So, but if you consider supporting, I'd probably throw her in there for that role. But outside of that, I don't know who I would suggest. It probably wouldn't be Maria, but I don't know who it would be. So
Yeah. Well,
was there anybody that you were really rooting for, or anybody that you were really thinking would be good for that, or that didn't get nominated, or
that probably would have been a good idea for this show to bring in some alternate choices. But again, like I've never been one to focus on what's not in the nominees. I just look
right.
at what is in the nominees. So maybe next year I'll remember to bring in some hey, wait a minute, what about this person choices. But I don't have anything off the top of my head either. I'd have to research. I don't know if people want to look at me researching while they're watching
No,
this.
definitely not.
So.
They don't want to look at you researching for sure. So yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Definitely.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Well, moving on then. I guess we'll go next to our best supporting actor.
You mean actor in a supporting role, Kierre?
Yeah. Well, it used to be
you want
best
to do
supporting
these?
actor. Yeah, I don't have a problem with that. So let me go through that list real quick here.
This is a tough one.
Yeah, actor in a supporting role. So the nominees are going to be Sacha Baron Cohen and The Trial of Chicago 7. Daniel, is it Kaluuya? I always say his name wrong.
I think it's Kaluuya. Yeah.
Kaluuya, yeah. For Judas and the Black Messiah. Leslie Odom Jr. for One Night in Miami. Paul Raci in Sound of Metal. And Lakeith Stanfield for also in Judas and the Black Messiah. So those are the nominees. This one was tough for me. I had a really, really tough time with this one, mostly because they nominated 2 people in a supporting role, which I know you say you get it, but a lot of people have had issues with that. Both for Judas and the Black Messiah, and either one of them really could have been a lead actor. You almost could have not named them both as a lead actor, or went with one or the other. But because they split the difference, I went in another direction just because I wasn't for sure who really was the best supporting actor, I don't know. I would probably give the edge maybe to Lakeith if I had to guess between those two. But I actually went in another direction, and I just went with Sacha Baron Cohen for the Trial of Chicago 7. So I thought he was just great in there. I thought he was super funny in there, and it was good just seeing him in a role, really acting, but still funny, but not doing like, tasteless jokes as he does in a lot of his films, like Bill Rad and Bruno and all the other ones. So I went with Sacha Baron Cohen. So Baron Cohen.
Cool.
So that was my choice. So
I think this might be the only category where we've both seen all 5 nominees. Actually,
that is actually true. Yeah, we have seen them all.
Yeah.
And I liked all those films. All those films were great. I enjoyed all of them. One Night in Miami. All those films are in my top 10. So yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no, I take that back. Except for Sound of Metal. That's not in my top 10.
Oh,
sorry. But I did like.
Okay.
So.
Yeah. Well, yeah, this is a hard category. I really like Sacha Baron Cohen. Like you said, it was good to see him just playing a role instead of like doing hidden camera stuff, you know. And he's just like, he's such a charismatic comedic actor, and he's just, and he does really ornate dialogue well. God, all of a sudden I'm blanking on the name of the guy who wrote the movie. He's an amazing screenwriter, and out of my head. But anyway, Leslie Odom Jr., if I had to pick one favorite performance in One Night in Miami, it might have been him. I'm not sure. All 4 of them were fantastic, but
yeah, they're all
I think
great.
he was
they're
one
all
of my
relatively.
favorites.
What I loved about them, they were all great in there. They're also all relatively unknown. You know what I mean?
Right.
So,
right.
None of them were like really big A-list stars, but they were all amazing in there, especially in a film where it was primarily a play, and it's just like kind of mostly dialogue where they were all basically in one setting. So yeah, absolutely.
Right. And Paul Raci in Sound of Metal, I think he was great. He was really good. He was one of my favorites in this field. And then, I guess I haven't kept track of the discussion really that much, but I can see why people are upset or just puzzling why Daniel Kaluuya and Lakeith Stanfield were both supporting actors. But it makes sense to me, because to me they would either have to both be supporting or both be lead. Because they have. I bet I haven't calculated it, but I bet they have almost exactly the same amount of screen time, and they're both the roles really complement each other. You know what I mean? But the difference is that that movie is really Lakeith's story. I think it's his character's story. His character who is going through that kind of crisis of conscience, and it's his actions that the plot hinges on. So I think, if anything, Lakeith Stanfield was the lead actor, and Daniel Kaluuya is the supporting actor. I think, because they're both great, but I think it's Lakeith Stanfield's story. Like all the actions hinge upon his character and his crisis of faith and what he does. So because they're not both nominated for lead, I'm going to vote for Lakeith Stanfield here, because I think he's amazing. I think he's a great actor in general, and this was one of his best roles for sure. And to me, it's a lead performance because it's his story. The movie is about what he does and how it affected Fred Hampton. How it led to what happened to Fred Hampton. But to me, Fred Hampton is the supporting character here. So I would vote for Lakeith Stanfield.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah. I wouldn't regret voting for any of these.
Yeah, it was a really tough category for me, so it was really hard to really say, in that one. It was just really, really tough. So,
yeah.
Cool. And I honestly, if any of these guys won, I would be happy with that, because like I said, I liked all of those movies. So they were all good, and they were all amazing in those roles, which is usually the case, obviously. But definitely could have went with any of those. So, all right.
Yeah.
Moving on to our next category, and I'll have you take this one, which is going to be our Best Actress.
All right. For actress in a leading role,
I'm sorry.
Davis.
Yeah. Best Supporting Actress, or actress in a leading role. Sorry.
Yeah. I was just messing with you.
I'm just saying Best Actress.
Yeah, that's fine. That's what everybody else says.
Yeah.
Viola Davis for Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. Andra Day for The United States versus Billie Holiday. Vanessa Kirby for Pieces of a Woman. Frances McDormand for Nomadland. and Carey Mulligan for Promising Young Woman. So here in this category, I've seen 3 out of 5. I really, really, really need to see Promising Young Woman. I don't know why I haven't, because it did finally drop down. It was the $20 rental for a while, but now it's down to, I think, $6 or $7 rental, which I can do. I'd rather not pay any extra money to watch anything, but I can do like a $7 rental. And I might do this before Oscar night because I want to see that movie really bad. And I have not seen Pieces of a Woman, which I know is on Netflix, so I probably should watch that because it's free, or with the Netflix subscription. So out of these nominees, I personally, having not seen Promising Young Woman, which I have a feeling Carey Mulligan is great in, I like her a lot, I would vote for Frances McDormand. She's one of my favorite actors in general. Nomadland was one of my favorite films of last year, and I think it's I keep wanting to say it's kind of the role she was born to play, but she's had so many roles that she was born to play. She was also born to play Marge Gunderson, in Fargo. I think she's just a really good actress who really inhabits the role no matter what she does. So it feels that way every time she's in a movie at all. So I think she blew me away. The movie blew me away. I really did like Viola Davis, but to me, that's more of a supporting role, in my opinion. I think it's more of a supporting role. She's great in it, but she's not in it all that much. Even though the movie is named after her, that she's more kind of I think Chadwick Boseman is the lead in that movie. And she's kind of, not background sounds bad. She's great in it. She's in it a lot, but it's not a lead role to me. I don't know why it just doesn't feel that way. Andra Day is really good, but I did not like that movie hardly at all. So that kind of weighs it down. You know what I mean? Like maybe it shouldn't. She's really good, but it's also the first time she's ever been in a movie. So it's kind of hard to tell and she's playing a singer, which she is in real life. So I'm not trying to downgrade her performance at all. She was really good. But to me, I would want to see more. I would want to see her do other things where she's not playing a singer. See if it wasn't just like a one-off kind of thing. You know what I mean? And also, I did not like the movie. So that kind of drives it down for me. But yeah, I would vote for Frances McDormand there.
No, very, very,
How about
very
you?
fair point. Yeah. This one was not quite as tough as the supporting actor for me, but actress in the leading role was tough because I did think that of the 3 films that I saw, which was Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, The United States versus Billie Holiday, and Nomadland, all 3 of the actresses were great in those roles. But I kind of deducted the same way that you did. I didn't go with Viola Davis, even though I thought she was amazing in there, because I felt like she was more of a supporting role, like you did. I thought that really Chadwick Boseman was the lead in there. So I didn't go for her because I thought she was more of a supporting role. I really thought Andra Day was amazing in playing Billie Holiday, but as you indicated, and especially for a first time, lead role as an actress, she was amazing. But as we already pointed out, she already sings like Billie Holiday, so she was already kind of a no-brainer for that role. Her acting is really, really good in there, but like you, I didn't enjoy the movie that much. It felt kind of soap opera play kind of for me, or soap opera, I shouldn't say play, because Ma Rainey's Black Bottom is kind of a play as well, but there's something about the story that didn't do it for me. So her performance was great, but the story itself, it's not a film that I would probably revisit. So just based on that, I kind of didn't go for her. So like you, I also went with Frances McDormand, who I thought was great in there, and I know she gets nominated all the time in almost everything she does. She's very calculated about the roles that she takes. And she takes roles that are suited for her skills and her talent. So she picks very, very good roles, and I couldn't picture any other actress playing that role other than her, and she just does it well. So it was not only a great film, it was also, she was just phenomenal in that role. So I went with Frances McDormand also. So
cool, nice.
So yeah, we're in agreement on that one. So
good.
And that's where it ends. No, just that's where it stops. Well, actually, I don't know who you're going to pick for these ones, so I'm not for sure. So cool.
Okay. Yeah.
All right. Moving on to best actor or best actor in a leading role or whatever you want to say.
Whatever. Yeah.
Whatever it is, I just say best actor because that's what I always grew up saying, and that's what it used to be until they started getting all fancy and cutesy with the titles.
They may have always called it that. I'm not sure. But everybody just says best actor, best actress.
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah.
So for this category, the nominees for actor in a leading role are Riz Ahmed for Sound of Metal,
Mm-hmm.
Chadwick Boseman for Ma Rainey's Black Bottom,
Mm-hmm.
Anthony Hopkins for The Father,
Mm-hmm.
Gary Oldman for Mank, and Stephen Yeun for Minari. So once again, I've seen 3 out of 5 here. The Father I'll get around to seeing eventually, probably. I don't know. I hear it's really great, but it doesn't look like my cup of tea, really. Minari I definitely want to see. I just haven't yet because I don't want to pay $20 for it. I'll wait till it drops down a little bit. So of the remaining 3, Riz Ahmed, Chadwick Boseman, and Gary Oldman, I would vote for Chadwick Boseman. And not just because, he's dead or anything like that, because I think he deserves it. I think, I knew he was a great actor anyway, but I think that he really blew me away with this one. I think, he's definitely, the lead of that movie. And which I didn't really expect. I mean, it's called Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. I thought Viola Davis would be the one to really nail that movie, and she does. She nails her part, of course,
sure.
like
She's
she always does.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, but his character is like who the story revolves around, really.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I think he's great. He has a monologue in there that just like blew me away, and I think he's the heart and soul of that movie. And I think he's going to get a posthumous Oscar, unfortunately, but I think he deserves it.
Yeah.
If he wasn't in there, I would definitely vote for Riz Ahmed because I thought he was great. I've been a fan of his for a while. He did a miniseries on HBO called The Night Of that I thought was really great. I thought he'd been in more stuff than he had been, but I think maybe that's because he just left such a strong impression on me in that movie or that miniseries.
Yeah.
And Gary Oldman's great. Of course, he's always great. He's great in Mank. But Gary Oldman does what Gary Oldman does. So it's a Gary Oldman performance, and I don't mean to downgrade it, but I've seen him do it before. You know what I mean? Like, not to downgrade Mank. I really liked Mank. He's perfectly cast. He does a great job. But for me, Chadwick Boseman is definitely the standout here. My number one standout. So yeah, that's what I would say.
For sure. Yeah, I've only seen just the 2, just the Sound of Metal and Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, so it was kind of more of an easier choice for me when I got to pick two people for that. But I thought Riz Ahmed was great in there. But like I said, I enjoyed Ma Rainey's Black Bottom as a film as a whole a little bit better, and it's. And I know everybody's going to say this, because he passed away. But I just thought that Chadwick Boseman just performed the role of his life, especially knowing that he was as sick as he was as well. So, it wasn't just that he had to do a phenomenal job as an actor. He was also battling an illness that basically ended up taking his life during the filming of that film. You could see how skinny and frail he was in the film itself, as opposed to how he looked in Black Panther just a year or two before that. So so I just I think that just that in itself was amazing. You know what I mean? That he was able to do that film, going through everything that he was going through, and ended up unfortunately passing away. So my it was an easy choice for me on that one, just going with Chadwick Boseman, and I think he deserves it. Like I said, not just because he died, but just because it was also a really, really good standalone performance. Even if he hadn't died, he would still probably be my top choice for this year, I believe. So, of the categories, and probably in general, he might be my top choice. It was Ma Rainey's Black Bottom was my favorite movie of the year. It was definitely my top 10, but of the performances, he would probably still be number 1 for me. So,
Yep, I agree.
Cool. Well, we are moving right along. We only got one category left, which is going to be Best Picture.
Not sound editing?
Actually, yeah, I threw that in there. No, we don't.
Yeah.
So, let's go ahead and go with best picture. And like I said, we already
not
did that.
not to not to not to diss on people who work on sound. Sound is extremely important in movies. I
Oh,
get it.
well, yeah. I mean, every
Yeah,
category
yeah,
that gets nominated, and like I said, I don't care the category. I mean, every category that is nominated is a valid and legit category because people need to be appreciated for the arts that they're doing and the work that they put in. So yeah, editing
yeah,
is a very vital part of the film. You know what I mean? Editing is because it's one of those things where I don't always necessarily notice the editing unless it's something that's obviously like crazy visual imagery or something of that nature. I don't always necessarily notice the editing, but I definitely notice when the editing isn't on point. You know what I mean? That's something I
mm,
notice immediately. If there's an error or an issue, we'll notice that immediately, but we don't always necessarily notice when editing is really good. Usually, like action films, I feel like are really good for sound editing and that kind of stuff. So, um, or horror films as well. But usually, there's got to be something going on versus a drama and that kind of thing. So,
right.
but in any event, we're going with Best Picture.
Yeah, yeah,
So very
yeah.
important category, nevertheless. But we're going with Best Picture. So, and I will go ahead and kick off the nominees on that one.
All right.
Which I got to pull
A
up the
lot of the same
category
movies we've
here.
already talked about, actually.
Yeah, pretty much
Yeah.
everything that we've already discussed. So, Best Picture. So the nominees are going to be The Father, Judas and the Black Messiah, Mank, Minari, Nomadland, Promising Young Woman, Sound of Metal, and The Trial of the Chicago Seven. We already alluded that we're not doing Best Director because I think that we would probably suggest whoever we suggested for Best Picture, we would also pick probably for the Best Director. So there was really no reason for us, in our opinion, to mention that. I guess like I said, there are going to be some situations or circumstances where I might, for some reason, like I said, if it was a documentary or something of that nature, not necessarily pick the same person, but usually it's going to be the same person, I feel like. So, would you agree?
Yeah, yeah. I was just thinking though, like I might actually split this time, maybe. But you started this, so you go first.
You might split what?
What I mean is I might pick a different, I might pick a different director than the film I'm going with. Maybe. I don't know. Go ahead. We'll talk
Okay.
about it. Yeah, maybe.
All right. Well, we'll talk about it. So of the nominees, I've seen one, two, three, four of the films of the nominees. And I went with, I guess, what my favorite of those nominees were, which was Judas and the Black Messiah. So that was my pick for Best Picture. I really, really enjoyed Ma Rainey's Black Bottom didn't even get nominated, but I really enjoyed that one as well.
Yeah.
And it got nominated for so many other categories. Sound of Metal I thought was really, really good, and the Trial of Chicago 7 was really, really good, and No Man Land was really good as well. Those are all the ones that I seen, and I liked all of those, so I wasn't mad with any of the ones that were in that category. But I ended up going with Judas and the Black Messiah overall. So that's my pick for Best Picture for the 2021 Oscars. What about you?
So I've seen one, two, three, four, five of them. So the same four that you have, plus
Mank.
Mank. Yeah. So with these, and I like all five of the ones I've seen. But again, like my favorite of the ones that are nominated is definitely Nomadland, which landed just at the toward the bottom of my top 10 last year. I think it's a really great movie. I've already talked about the ways how good Frances McDormand is. I'm a big fan of Chloe Zhao, the director. I
Mm-hmm.
really, really liked her first film, The Writer, even more. I like that even more than this. And I love the way she blends like realism and story. Like it's The Writer even more so. The Writer even more feels like almost like a documentary that's been dramatized, because in that movie, the main character is basically playing himself, more or less. And the people who play his family members are his real family in that movie. And that movie blew me away. Nomadland did too, but it wasn't quite as good as The Rider to me. But still, of these, the ones that I've seen, it's my favorite. But I still haven't seen The Father or Minari or Promising Young Woman. But I will say what I was going to say before is, for instance, you were saying Judas and the Black Messiah is your favorite out of there, but it wasn't even nominated for Best Director, so you wouldn't even have the option of picking that as the Best Director. And for me, like, I would come down to Best Director. Let me go to Best Director real quick, because I want to make sure both of them are nominated. Yeah. So Chloe Zhao is nominated for Nomadland, and David Fincher is nominated for Mank. I might, I'd have to think about it, but I might actually have voted for Nomadland for Best Picture, but David Fincher for Best Director. Because for one thing, I'm a huge David Fincher fan, and I think what he pulled off in this movie, even though it wasn't like in my top 10 for last year or anything, but what he pulled off with this movie, making a really unconventional biopic, and doing it all in black and white, and building some amazing sets, and just kind of just maintaining that singular vision for like an epic movie that was really well done. I might vote for him for Best Director, but I would also easily vote for Chloe Zhao for Best Director too, because I think she's great. I really like where she's going. I'm a little wary of her. I think she's doing a Marvel movie next. I don't really know how that'll go. I'm hoping that she, brings some of her own style to it, and it's not doesn't feel like just another Marvel movie. But I guess we'll see. It'll be interesting.
I feel like all those movies are kind of cookie cutter for Marvel. I think they have to have certain things in those films. You know what I mean? Whoever the producers are going to want certain elements to it. So I think individuality is a little bit more challenging with Marvel. It wasn't like Zack Snyder and Justice League, where they pretty much just let him do kind of what I felt like what he wanted to do. You know what I mean? I feel like this one's going to be more the cookie cutter format that they like for that. You know what I mean? So, but we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, some of the Marvel movies do have a little bit of style, like the Guardians of the Galaxy movies. James Gunn is all over those. Taika Waititi, who did Thor Ragnarok. I mean, like, there's definitely some of his original style in there, so it is possible. I do agree that like 90% of the Marvel movies all feel like they fell off the same conveyor belt, Yeah. But hopefully hers will be a little different. At least I agree with you that I'm sure there's like a set of rules that they can't deviate from, and they probably can't put too much input into the story because that's already pre-decided. But hopefully she can bring a little bit of individual style to it. Not that it'll feel like a docudrama like her first two movies, probably not. But we'll see.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. Because that's quite a leap from making two films that mostly had real people in it. You know what I mean? To go into something where it's going to be completely a large cast and actors and things of that nature. She's a good director, so I'm sure it would be fine. But yeah, I guess that would be one of the cases. I think that if Nomadland was my favorite film of the year, I don't know that I would pick her to be the best director, because what really sold Nomadland is essentially Frances McDormand's character, because it's essentially her story. You know what I mean? So, I mean, obviously someone's got to direct there, but you know what I mean? But they use so many real people and things of that nature. I don't know that I would necessarily pick her for the best director. It's hard to say. So, in that situation, I guess. So like you said, there's definitely, but whatever.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, those are our nominees. Anything else you wanted to add about, this year's Oscars or anything of that nature?
Nope. I'm just looking forward to getting some takeout this Sunday, and we always usually start it late. That's one thing we do is we start it like 30 45 minutes late so that we can fast forward the commercials. So I do take that shortcut, but and then I stay off of my social media because I don't want to see who won anything. But start it 30 45 minutes late, get our takeout, spread it out on the table, and just enjoy the show. I'm looking forward to it this Sunday.
Cool. Yep. All right. And I will probably, catch a few minutes here and there in between doing other stuff. and then just see who the winners were, at the end.
Cool. So like most people, in other words, if that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
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 Like most
Yeah.
people. Well, most people don't even the
I
Oscars
don't, yeah, most
viewing the
people don't
Oscars.
care.
Yeah, it's gone down over the years, because of all the politics that have gotten involved more recently over the years. I feel like I mean, maybe that's part of it. There could be other reasons as well, but the
No, I think
viewership
it's
is
mostly
definitely
because of the movies they nominate. I mean, like, like not to agree with Bill Maher, because I don't necessarily agree with him on this. But I don't know anybody who's seen The Father.
yeah.
I don't know
Most
anybody
people
who's
haven't seen
seen Mank.
Minari. Yeah, most people haven't seen
Or
Minari. Most people haven't seen Mank. You know what I mean? They're just not popular
yeah,
films. So
I mean,
I
they're
know that.
good. People should see them. But but I think that's the main
Yeah,
reason
unless you're a
the
true
viewership
cinephile,
goes down.
you're not going to see them. You know what I mean? And I know they try
Yeah,
to make it better by expanding the categories and having more films represented, 7, 8, 9 films or whatever. But if you're going to expand it and still do all the indie stuff that not most people are seeing, then you know what I mean. You're still not going to bring in viewers. You know what I mean?
yeah.
But that'll be interesting. So what do you do? What do you do in those situations? Do you, in order to bump up the ratings, do you start throwing in films that are more popular, you know what I mean, but not necessarily the best films. I don't know.
Well,
So,
that's what they said they were going to do in the beginning. Like when they expanded the category, it was to make room for stuff that wouldn't normally,
but then
make the
they're still
cuts.
doing the same stuff. They're still doing the same films where, you know, uh,
Yeah,
I mean, granted, last year was an anomaly because everything was
yeah,
streaming.
it was. Yeah,
But when I look at these choices, if these films were in theaters, I don't know that any of these films would be blockbusters. Maybe Judas and the Black
no,
Messiah, potentially Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, but that's mostly because of Chadwick Boseman passed away. But of all
yeah,
the other categories, of all these films, I don't think that any of them would have been big hits. You know what I mean?
right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
in theaters. You know what I mean? So,
yeah,
so
yeah.
if that's going to be it's going to be just if you're going to make an award show just for cinephiles, then then that's what it's going to be. So, and
Yep.
that's pretty much what they're doing now. They just went in with cinephiles and said, the heck with everybody else, but at the same time, now you've alienated the mass of the viewers, I guess. So,
Yeah, yeah. I think it's because it was a different kind of year. I mean, they have made an effort to put in more mainstream movies the last few years, like Black Panther getting nominated and stuff like that.
right.
But this last year it was a different year in a lot of ways, and I think that was part of it. But I don't want them to start, nominating, you know, uh, like crap either. You know what I mean? I do think,
I
yeah,
agree. There is a fine line. I mean, you look at your top 10 in a given year, you know what I mean? Your personal top 10, I'm saying. And, you
hmm
would argue that if they nominated some of those films, you would be like, awesome, that's great. You know what I mean? But, I look at my top 10 from last year, and most of the films in my top 10, weren't nominated for Best Picture. You know what I mean? So,
yeah. I
it's
don't
kind of
think
like,
any of mine were.
yeah. And so well, No Man Land wasn't that your
Well,
pick,
except
right?
for Nomadland, yeah.
Yeah,
Except for
yeah,
that,
yeah.
yeah,
So when I look at it from that standpoint, it's kind of hard to say. Well, and maybe that's why I don't watch the Oscars. I mean, I care to
yeah.
see who won, but to watch an award show of films that I didn't hate any of these films that I saw, but I didn't necessarily put them in my top 10, so they weren't my tops. So so it's like, well, good for them, but clearly I didn't think that was the best picture. You know what I mean?
hmm
So it's kind of hard to say if I don't think that was the best picture that like I'm glad they won, but I still don't think it was the best picture of the year, or I still don't think that was the best actor, or I still don't think that was the best actress, whatever case may be. So I don't know. It's a fine
Yep.
line, but I know you love the Oscars. I like I said, they're kind of hit or miss for me. When I was younger, I used to love watching them, but I just feel like over the years, I'm not as into them as I used to be. So I still want to see
All
who
right.
won, though. I'm still interested.
Yeah.
I still want to see who won, but I don't have to watch them. So yeah,
Got it.
yeah. Maybe if it was an hour show, I'd be more inclined to watch it. So that's the
Yeah.
other thing. It's like 3 hours out of my day. You know what I mean? I'm
Yeah.
not spending a full 3 hours watching every single category, every single film. So, or every single category, I should say. So
Yeah. Yeah.
cool.
Cool.
Well, let us know down in the comments, your thoughts, your takes. The show is obviously going to be aired, before the Oscars actually start this weekend. So let us know down in the comments, who you think is going to win these, your favorite choices for Best Picture, Best Actress, Best Actor, or in a leading role or in a supporting role or whatever case may be. What are your thoughts on the Oscars as a whole? Do you agree with this? Is it better than it ever was? Is there changes they should make? I don't know. Let us know down in the comments. Let's have a discussion. Let's talk about it. We'll respond to you. But we hope you guys enjoy the Oscars. We hope you enjoy the show. Hopefully your films were nominated. Hopefully the ones you're hoping are going to win will win. And we will be back again with another show for you guys again real soon. We thank you for watching and hope you have a great day. Bye. And also remember to subscribe if you like the channel. And bye.
Bye.